You're here again on Transforming Your Relationship. You can tune in every Friday at 5:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time on HGG radio station. You can download the app, folks, in your Apple Store and listen to some good music, Caribbean music, just secular, sorry, not secular, but good gospel music, just good music and all. They have devotions that's there, and there's some prayers that's going on, devotional in the morning, early in the morning with Roshane Douglas. I believe it's at 6 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. So thanks for tuning in again today. So we have a good friend here, Marie Vahan Cadmus from beautiful British Columbia. So Marie, tell us a little bit about yourself so folks will know who you are that's coming on this program. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Greetings, everyone. Where do I begin? So, yes, my name is Marie. Kind of like that name. I live in BC, British Columbia, the beautiful province of British Columbia, the place where it doesn't snow that much. Thank you, Jesus. I am. It's an honor to be here on this show. So, who am I? I'm a mother of four grown adults, four grown children, two girls, two boys, and I am, you know, a counselor and also
Yeah.
mental health worker, also a counselor and mental health worker. Um, so far, God has given me the strength to go and do my training in mental health and counselor, and now I am hope to finish, pursuing my bachelor's in biblical studies and
Beautiful.
Christian counseling.
Mm.
Um, in fact, I am done, but I have to do some research at the end of. So I'm actually finished. Will graduate next year, and then hopefully, I will go on to do my master's.
Beautiful.
Yeah, we're going to do my master's because I want to really merge it with medical. Because originally I wanted to be a nurse, originally, and but the Lord kind of rerouted me, circumstances
Mm.
rerouted my life. So I'm now trying to bring back some medical aspect in my career as a counselor. So it's kind of working out so far. So I'm not sure if the Lord gonna have me go back fully to take nursing.
Okay.
But it's just the medical background of it that yeah. So yeah, and so I'm a Bible teacher. I just love teaching the Word of God.
That I know.
Um, yeah, I love teaching the Word of God because I now realize that, and I'm even more excited now about teaching the Word of God, because I realize that counseling, psychology, and the Word of God, they meet, they
Mm.
meet. Yes, because I know when it comes to, we say, psychology, probably in the faith-based community we are a bit standoff, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm now realizing that, hey, the Bible is really in line with psychology. As a counselor, in my years of training, I realized that most of those, if not all, the modalities have some spiritual, scriptural based. And that's one of the areas that I really want to bring forth in
Okay.
our faith-based community, because so that when we hear the word psychology, is not to run from it.
Right.
I believe the church should be at the forefront when it comes to mental health. We should be at the forefront. And so
Mm.
I believe, because it all begins with God. And I know, when it comes to spiritual stuff, everyone have their different meaning what spirituality is. But
Right.
whether or not we believe in God, there's a spiritual component
Mm-hmm.
to individual, challenges, whether it's mental health. There's a spiritual component, whether people go and look at the ocean, or whether they worship Mother Earth, or each and every one of us come at it differently. But there is a spiritual component to it. And I think the church should be really an advocate for mental health.
Mm.
But we really need to understand that God is the one that give man. Psychology existed long before the person even coined that phrase, psychology, right? Because we saw in the Garden of Eden, and Genesis is my book. Genesis is my book because
So
that's where it all began.
there's so much in there. No, thank you so much for all your experience that you're giving out to the world there. Your service is needed out in society. And it's just beautiful. We can step into our purpose. Like you said, it's amazing how the Lord sometimes just shifts us without even asking our permission, because because He created us, He made us,
Yes.
as all the faith-based believers know out there, and others too. That's even not of the faith, but also just believe that God created the heavens and the earth. But yeah, it always amazes me, yeah, how God will just shift you from what you
Mhm.
thought you wanted to do, what you thought
Yes.
your
Yes.
purpose. And you're right, it was your purpose, but it wasn't His purpose. And when we walk in our purpose and not His
Yeah.
purpose, you know what? As we're going to talk a little bit about it today, is you can become bitter, you can become angry because
Oh, yeah.
you're not fulfilling that need or that purpose that you were
Mm-hmm.
fulfilling. It's like you're walking and you're living on the edge. But so thank you for tuning in today. And the topic, as we hashed a little bit about it earlier, is about the root of bitterness, how resentment started, the breeding ground. It's the
Yes.
breeding ground for resentment. But for those that's listening, sometimes individual ask me the question, and possibly the same to you, Marie, is what's the difference? Just to start off, what's the difference between counseling and coaching? Well, we both have the same aim to help an individual to live that fulfill a happy life and just to move
Mm-hmm.
forward in a more successful future. The aim of counseling is to ultimately to resolve old pains such as abuse, trauma, and
Right.
just to help a person improve their emotional states,
Mhm.
their mental state. So when an individual has come to me as a coach, I have boundaries where that is concerned. So that's where I pass them over to Marie, because she'll be able to deal with the trauma. She'll be able to deal with the abuse that's taken place, you know,
Mhm.
and all those the emotional state that the individual is in. But as for us as coaching, right, it's more leaning to learning and development based, and it's more solution focused, right? We see
Yes.
beyond your limits as we create a safe space, as we have a conversation with you. We focus on the present. We recognize as a coach, a relationship coach, or as a life coach, that um, where you are in the present and what you're dealing with within the present, it's
Mhm.
the past has got you to where you are right now. So
Yes.
deal with the present and also pointing you to your future goals by developing a workable solution. So for those that maybe didn't know the difference, that's like in a nutshell what the difference is there. The breeding ground for resentment.
Ah.
That's what we're going to talk about. Last in our one of our last program, we talked about attunement, as we had talked about before, which is one of the most important component in building
Mm.
a foundation to give you a healthy and open relationship. But what happens when the emotional attunement, sorry, is not there? I said emotional atonement. It's
That's
emotional,
exactly.
folks. But what happens, as we're going to talk about bitterness and resentment, it's going to creep in, it's going to lead to anger, and it's going to end up festering and frustrating you. Often bitterness takes a root when we are hurt, when we are hurt, or when we hurt others, you know,
Mm.
whether it be fear or unfair. But in the book of Hebrews, it talks about let not the root of bitterness spring up, because it
Right.
will cause trouble. It will cause many to defile. And so, what did Paul meant when he said the root of bitterness? In the Hebrew, back in the Hebrew culture, they had a poisonous plant. It was called a bitter plant. So Paul the apostle here uses the metaphor as a root of bitterness. And we all know that if that festers, what can happen. So
Right.
let's talk about that, because when we individual first get married, as we all know, we start off on a high. Something takes place within the middle. What
Mhm.
What I find is what I hear from individuals is that they end up pushing down their feelings, and they end up pushing down their feelings.
Right.
So from your background and whatnot, how does that show up where you're concerned, or what's your thoughts on that for those that are listening? We just keep on pushing it down and keep on pushing it down. I mean, as time goes on, I believe it could erupt in a volcanic state, which would be
Yeah.
very pleasant. Because do you believe the more they put it down, the more they put it down, you get more bitter by the day, or what's taking place from your psychological background there?
Yeah. Yes. Well, as we had discussed before, when we talk about emotional attunement, what exactly are we saying, right? So it's emotional attunement is how we bond. It's a bond that we form earlier in life.
Mm, okay.
So it's that which enable us to relate. So when we just think of the word emotions alone, without the emotional aspect, but just emotions. Okay, what are emotions? We have sadness, joy,
Right.
we
Mhm.
have anger. So let's name some of those emotions, right? You
Okay.
know, like I said, anger, sadness, joy, laughter. So the basics emotions that we have. And so, a child is born, right? One of the first thing a child does when a child is born, right? That child cries, right? And so, even before the baby can talk, those emotions are there. Um,
Mm,
um, when the child cries when they're hungry, when they want to be fed, and so the mother now can respond to those emotions. So it is formed. So emotional attunement, it is formed during the early years of development, and is carried forward to be the
mm,
frame reference for all relationships.
mm.
So when someone comes to me, um, for example, and they say to me that they're experiencing um, challenges in their relationship,
Right.
keeping it in context here.
Okay.
One of the first things that we do assessment with the individual.
Hmm.
And then one of the reasons why we do assessment, we're looking for assessment, especially, would ask them, their relationship with their parents. What was it like for them growing up? Um, how was conflict even resolved in
Okay.
their family,
Good.
right? Because
Right. Right.
someone comes to counseling, we're not just we're seeing the individual, but we also have to see the individual within a broader context, the
Mm.
family, because the family is coming with them. Even what do I mean when I say the family is coming with them? Their their upbringing is coming. How would they relate to their parents? How they relate to their siblings? And all of that is coming in
So it's
with them.
curious what you're saying. So when they come, whether they have emotional attunement or not, and you said it's being bred from their early childhood
This early
stage.
childhood
So,
stage,
so
yes.
when they come with the issue or whatever, that's interesting what you said. They're coming with all of their families.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about that so folks can understand a little bit there. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
they're coming because the family is the foundation for life, right?
Okay.
Okay, we have the family in the first place. The family is the first place where before you even start going to school, right? The family
Mhm.
is the first, could you say, where you are born into, even if you were adopted and go into that family, that's still your family. And
Right.
so it's in there where you learn about yourself, first of
Hmm.
all. You learn about the the family, how you relate to that family, and then you learn about the world. So everything that you're gonna need to even how you show up in life later on,
Hmm.
that's where everything is taking place, because the caregiver, usually the parents or the primary caregiver, establish a deep emotional connection with the infant or the child.
Mm-hmm.
So, and so the connection formed the foundation for the child's understanding of emotions. How, okay, so for example, when the child cries and the parent may say, "Stop your crying." Well, um, cry is a language, right? Crying is a language.
Absolutely.
And
Yes.
and emotions are there as signposts to tell us something is happening. So when a child cries and the parent or the caregiver may say, "Stop your crying, you're crying
Mm-hmm.
too much." If this behavior between the caregiver and the child repeats over and over, then the child learns to stop that crying in their
Mm-hmm.
system and stop crying,
Right.
right? I think you mentioned before, they kind of learn to push it down, and they see crying as a negative behavior rather
Mm.
than a positive thing. So therefore, and so even if I cry, no one gonna hear me. So crying then to that child would be that, as far as that child understand, crying is a negative thing. So just don't cry around here.
And that's why some men will feel ashamed if they have to cry
Especially for boys. Girl,
because they've been
yeah,
told so many times, you're a man, as if to say men are not supposed to cry. And I guess,
yeah,
especially in some cultures too, that's more that's more prevalent there.
right.
It's more forward that, hey, you're a man, like shake it off. And
Yeah,
so what happens is that we bring that into a relationship, and if a man can't express himself like he should,
right.
and going back to the topic about the breeding ground of forbiddenness, that's how actually I think that's probably one of the roots that begin to take place, that begin to upset the area or upset that relationship.
Yes, right. Because then now, because we understand also in counseling where they say that the body keeps the score.
Okay. Mm.
So a young child, and you will hear me say a young child because all of us, it's in our primary years
Right.
where where connection is formed.
Hmm.
And um so the caregiver then, so it's a caregiver response to the emotional cues and needs which develop our help us to be able to either develop adaptive
Hmm.
coping skill or maladaptive coping skills.
Mm.
So the child either learn to trust you or to run from you, or the child either learn how to don't cry around here, right? Because something is happening, right? So while all that message is being sent to the child, now
Hmm.
their brain is taking all of that in,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
Because their brain is taking all of that in, their nervous system, um their, as we call it, the back of the brain, where you have the limbic system for
Okay.
some,
Hmm.
the limbic system, but our brain, because God makes us in that way to cope and to survive in our environment. And so this has nothing to do with whether we are Christian or not. The moment we are experiencing a stress or whatever, whether it's pleasant or unpleasant, the
Hmm.
brain takes a picture of it and stores
Absolutely.
it and keeps it for future reference.
I like what you said. The body keeps a score.
The
So
body keeps a score of that information.
so if the body keeps a score of this information and some negative emotions that you kind of mentioned, so then does the individual see themselves as a problem, and then how do they show up?
And usually when the body's taking holiday, information is, we won't even know. We
Mm.
won't even be aware that all this is happening until you are now in a relationship.
Okay.
Because the next relationship after our parents, our primary caregiver, is your spouse or your partner. It's in the same branch
Mm-hmm.
of relationship. The only difference is intimacy now involved. Intimacy on a different level is involved.
Mm-hmm.
But so the child and parent or caregiver has an intimate relationship where we share thoughts, we share hugs,
Right.
and this is what is allowing us to develop. So the next place now where I'm now going to show up is in a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And that is why now relationship is now even okay. That's where it's now going to show up because it becomes um the model right? So the primary relationship with my
Right.
parents is the model. So now I'm now going to develop my own house or build my own home.
Mm-hmm.
Where did you get, how did you know whether you should hug or not hug your spouse? Where did
Okay.
you learn that from? You learn it from somewhere.
That's
You're
right.
either going to move away from your primary home. Okay, you may say, well, my dad was this way and I don't want to be it. But in a sense, you're going to be it,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because it is still your focus. It's still your focus. So it's when we go into relationships now, that's when it comes out. Um, and then we transfer it now to either our spouse and or to our children because that was the model that we had.
Mm-hmm. And what if we can't? What if we can't transfer that model, and we find it hard to transfer that model of the good behavior part? What takes place in the relationship now? How does resentment form? How does where's the breeding ground that's going to cause resentment in that relationship?
Okay,
And it
so
could
now,
be, and it could be it could be like a relationship between husband and wife. It could be also at work, just different areas in our lives, right? But predominantly, like we're
mm,
talking about, is a relationship.
yeah, you know where they say sometime red flags, probably you do it too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, Red flags can be seen as things to be cautious about. That's
Absolutely.
why they have premarital counseling
So, no, yeah.
because those red flags, if we were to transfer it, can be also say, okay, um, what do you think? Like, for example, a man may say, okay, I don't want my wife to work,
Mm-hmm.
right? Of course, culture have different ideas as to whether a wife should work or whether she shouldn't work.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, a man may say, I want my wife to wear her hair up. When we get married, you got to wear your hair up, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where did he get that from? Sometimes that's social construct, but
Right.
we learn about relationships in our primary years. So let's go back now to a child. How do we learn um, attunement? Let's go back to a child that came home from school,
Okay.
and that child, let's look at it both adaptive behavior and maladaptive. So let's look at the adaptive behavior first. A child come home from school. These little children probably in primary school, and they're always excited about stuff that they learn. So, mommy, you know what I learned today? I learned today that XYZ, and the mom or the caregiver, let's not say the caregiver is
Mm-hmm.
sitting there on the sofa and the child come home, and children don't know time frame.
That is true.
When they come home, all they see you watching TV and they just plop there and they say, oh, mommy, daddy, I got this. And you say, not now, not now. And you say, I soon come. That child gonna come back at next second. Okay, the children, until they're certain age, they don't know time frame. And
Mm.
so they keep coming to you and saying, mommy, look what I learned. And they say, not now. Well, if you notice little children, that not now, eventually they stop coming.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
They'll even come in, they'll even come home and sit right there in the living room, right beside you or wherever you are. and they now learn to do it themselves, they stop coming to you because they now learn that, hey, wait a minute, mommy or my caregiver is present, but they're absent. They're not available to me emotionally. I can see that you're there, but you're not available for me.
So what does that present? What does that present to the child, and how does he carry that in forward into life
So how they carry that
in
forward
his
now?
relation?
Okay, so I gotta take care of me. So
Okay.
so that person now in a marriage
Mm-hmm.
and come home and the wife say, and he's not really physically there. He
Right.
believes that my job as a husband is just to go bring home the bacon, in a
Mm-hmm.
sense, just go and work. So a child now who's a wife now who's coming from a different environment where
Mm-hmm.
where he or she experienced where affection is shown, you come home and I want to talk, may now say to the other spouse, honey, you know, you're not here as of lately. You're not here. Or the wife may come beside, or spouse may come beside the other spouse and they're watching TV
Mm.
and they say, not now, not now. I may say, honey, can we go make love? Because sometimes spouse, I think wives may come home and sometimes say, oh, honey, can we go and, and the husband say, not now,
Okay. Or vice
not
versa.
now. Or vice versa, right? And the other spouse is still waiting.
Mm.
And that never happened. And that's where now resentment. But that's where now resentment begins to occur. But it did not begin to occur there.
So it's going back to almost what you said just recently. Is the body is still keeping score?
The body now remember, so you are not going to have emotional flashbacks because so you think that you are now responding to the rejection of the spouse right here, but
Mm-hmm.
it's not. You're actually responding to the rejection earlier in life
Okay.
because the brain is now saying, wait a minute, this happened to me before. And so we kind of listen to, he always listen to the language. He always reject me. It's
Right.
like, okay, maybe did he always reject you? Or did they always reject you? So we listen for the all or nothing language,
Right.
right? We listen to the always, no one has ever been there for me. I've always been, it's just me alone. So we kind of listen for those languages, those
Resentment,
stories that people are telling themselves.
resentment coming up.
Yeah, it's the resentment coming up because back then now, um, when my caregiver was doing that, what was happening to you?
Mm.
What did you want to do? So in a counseling session, I probably asked a client, okay, when was your earliest recollection of experiencing rejection?
Mm.
When was it? Can you go back as far back? When was it? Because the first time that person experienced that,
Mm-hmm.
or the earliest recollection, that's what the brain is dealing with. And the brain doesn't know that the body don't know it's Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday or
Right.
it's 5 years ago or it's the minute. As far as the brain know, it's happening right now.
Right. Okay.
Yeah,
It's just so folks will know a little bit here is, you went back into the past because you want to know what happened, right?
yes,
And where did this rejection start and so
yes,
forth. And that's your area. So with ourselves now, with individuals, we recognize they have experienced rejection because they've
right,
told us about that. Now we ask them the question, now what would you like to experience now,
yes,
moving forward? And sometimes the word comes out as acceptance or whatever, feeling good or feeling free. So then we pursue those objectives. Now we pursue those goals.
Yes.
Just to let folks know just the difference there. Like you said, you go back into the past because you're trying to let them be aware and so forth, right? Just two different mythology that we use.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah. So when we take them back into the past, so say what was different back then and what's different now,
Right.
right? So we kind of work through, sometimes it all depends too. Sometimes we work through the five senses, right? And
Okay.
that's where somatic therapy would probably come in, because
Hmm.
the senses keeps it, the body keeps it.
Hmm.
But the general public don't really know that. I didn't know that. I didn't even know that some of the stuff that I was responding to
Okay.
was based upon the past.
Okay.
And I wish I knew that. I really wish I knew that, because I remember in my past, if I may be a bit transparent here,
Sure.
me being married and I'm now divorced. And
Hmm.
and I look back at it back then and I said, oh my God, I wish I had the language. I wish I had the awareness that
Okay.
yes, there were challenges in the marriage, but a lot of it, the marriage environment itself became very triggering for me,
Hmm.
because there were no things, but there were no things that was happening that I said, oh my God, my brain was fully now lit it up, because I'm saying, oh God, I need to get away from here. I need to get
Hmm.
away, because I
Okay.
feel like I'm in trouble. So it wasn't really so much as what is happening in the present, even though what may happen in the present is still
Hmm.
not okay.
Right.
But as far as my brain is concerned, I am now in
Still.
full fight or flight mode.
Hmm.
So that time, maybe I couldn't do anything about it at the time, because maybe I was a child.
Right.
But now I am an adult. I may respond back to you.
And the response is going to be a negative. It's going to
And the
be.
response is going to be a negative thing.
And what I find is, I wonder how many really have those hard conversation of where I'm coming from, what has taken place.
Yes.
Honey, I love you. If we're going to pursue this relationship, these are some of the things that really triggers me, and that's why it's so good to work on self, right? You
Yes.
mentioned earlier, because that child come home and they want their parents to be involved in what they were doing, but the parents doesn't have time. And
Yeah.
and so you said the child now realized that I have to take care of me.
Me. Yes.
We grew up, we finished high school, we get in a relationship, and we still have that mindset that I have to take care of me. And
Right.
I mean, it's not bad for you want to take care of me, but
Yes.
but who else are you blocking out? It's like now you is it possible that you build up a wall that is hard for anybody to penetrate because
Hmm.
you've always been taking care of me. Now you have a man that want to become your husband, that want to continue or want to take care of you.
Right.
And if we don't let go of the me part, resentment,
Hmm.
resentment can come up where there can be a struggle. But I believe with much help, with much conversation,
It can
that
be. Yeah.
the me can become we. So what are
Yeah.
some? We just got a little bit more time here. I'm a little bit over, but that's okay. A little bit more time. So
Mhm.
give me some example of some breeding grounds. Give me some breeding grounds of resentment here before we close off here soon.
Some breeding ground for resentment, if I may come at it from also a scriptural point of view,
Absolutely.
as well. Okay, we look at the children of Israel. They were in Egypt, and that was a breeding ground. I mean, plus plus, right? For
Mm.
we saw Moses, who became the deliverer years later, but we saw him being taken away from the situation happened, and children lost their lives back
Right.
then.
Hmm.
And we saw Moses now being taken away. Well, his mom had to put him on the water. So you can imagine he didn't really have that emotional bonding
Okay.
with his mother, although the Lord miraculously allowed his mom to kind of find her way back to him to nurse him.
Hmm. Right.
Because those years of bonding is crucial.
Very
Now,
crucial.
we saw Moses, strike the rock. Some anger was there.
Mm-hmm.
We saw him saying, Lord, I can't speak because some a conscious speech therapist, they saw some speech challenges were there as well, and the man is talking truth. And so, but then we saw the children of Israel when the Lord brought them out of Egypt now, and they're at the edge of deliverance. Listen what they said in, I think it's in Exodus chapter 14, where they say, you
Yeah.
brought us here to kill us.
Right.
And he said, wait a minute, who you said? So they're now having a relationship here. So let's put it in context. Jesus, God come now to woo them, to love them, to deliver them, and to bring them to a land flowing with milk and honey, right? And they're
Mm-hmm.
now saying, no, take me back, bring me back. Why didn't you just leave me in Egypt?
He was
Because
back.
I at least I know the devil. The
That's
devil I know is better than the angel I don't know, right?
So when they started to get bitter, it's like they wanted to go back.
Yeah. And we saw the struggle Moses had with them, even when they spent all these years in the wilderness. Because what? The past informed the present.
Mm-hmm.
And until we can go in, and when I say go in and create a new neural pathway,
That's the key.
we can unlearn,
Unlearn
because
something.
the brain
Mm-hmm.
is always the change in neuroplasticity of the brain.
Right.
We can go in and create neural pathways. So where you were stuck there, you no longer have to be stuck there.
It's interesting because I've said when you want to be unstuck, you have to have a want to.
You
You
have to
have to
want to.
want to get unstuck. You
You
have
gotta
to
want to.
want
Yes.
to be free. I always go back to the prodigal son. The Bible says, when he came to himself, you have to come to yourself
Yeah.
that this is not what I want to do. This is not where I want to be. This is not how I want to act in my relationship. But I'm
Yeah.
coming down here at the end here, Maria. I have to cut off here in
Mhm.
another few minutes. But I just want to just highlight just a few things here about some things for breeding grounds for resentment when you feel you're doing more than your partner is.
Yes.
Without their help. You'd like more help. So if you want more help, it's how we ask for more help rather than just saying, "Well, can't you just help me?" Like, don't you see I'm overloaded? I mean, there's softeners that we can use. Honey, you know what?
Yes.
I'm real tired at this moment. I'd really appreciate it if you can just give me a hand for the 15, 20
Yeah.
minutes. It's all how we approach. So breathing
Communication.
some
Yeah.
resentments is feeling unimportant in your relationship, which leads
Yes.
to long term. It can lead to a long term lack of intimacy, no sex life, no conversation that needs to be had. Also on uncontrolled and selfish behaviors. These are breeding
Hmm.
grounds. And then you have an
Right.
obsessive spirit, like a control, and you want to control an individual. Their thoughts, you don't appreciate their thoughts, you don't validate their thoughts, right?
Right.
Now you're feeling it's all about you. So continuing thoughts of past hurts, and another one which is important for resentment is experiencing sexual rejection. And by
Yes.
experience that,
Yes. Yes.
all these will erode what you have. It's a breeding ground for erosion, and
Feeling unheard. True.
if it's
Feeling
not nipping
unheard.
in the bud, yeah, feeling unheard. If it's not nip in the bud, it's going to lead to that word called divorce,
Right.
which many try to avoid. Some just don't even bother work it out, but it's beautiful if you can at least try. Some don't know how, right? So I just
Hmm.
thank those there that are listening, that are out there online, that are going through their struggles, their situation. You have Marie here. Her website is here on the YouTube page here. If you go under HGG Radio, or even if you type my name in Bonitto Grange, you'll see this YouTube coming up here for the next day here. So there's help out there,
Yeah.
or you can continue to live the way you're living and continue to be
Hmm.
frustrated, continue to live in that deep space of resentment, which now
Hmm.
you're not
Yeah.
careful. you're passing that on to your children.
Next generation, yeah, because also we parent, and that's another topic, but we they call it secondhand trauma, right?
Okay.
So we pass that on to our children, and that's how we have the cycle
Hmm.
continuous. You have
Hmm.
children with carrying forward generation years of how my parents was, because all the child know that's what it is, right?
Right.
So we
The
have
seed.
to be aware, and there's no shame in it. It does this is and there's no blaming of parents either. They had a
Mm-hmm.
narrative, they had a script, and that's what they work on. But now we can change it. We can change the narrative, right? We can change the stories. It doesn't have to end that way. And we can have healthy relationship with our spouse. It's not a I. The moment when you recognize that emotional attunement is coming in, when you
Right.
begin to say, honey, I don't like this. And the moment you say I, that honey gonna tune you out. Is
Mhm.
we. So in a marriage, it's always a we and not a I.
Always, always. I always emphasize on that. So I
It's a
appreciate
we.
the insight. I
Yes.
appreciate the constant background also, and some of the things that you have brought forth. I really thank you for the time that you invested. I thank you for the work that you're
You're
doing
welcome.
and the impact you're having over there in BC and pretty well national wide. So, for those that
Yeah.
are listening, her name is Marie Vaughan Cadmus. Her website is Vaughan Marie Rose at wixsite.com. So that's Vaughan and Vaughan Marie Rose. That's
Yeah.
VAUGHANMARIE Rose, all in one word, at wixsite.com. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for
Yes.
the background that you brought us, the time that you have given to us. And
Amen.
folks, whether it's counseling or coaching, if you're dealing with trauma, if you're dealing with past deep hurts,
Mm. Oh
abuse,
God.
she's the lady, she's the woman to see because she's very good at what she does. We've been friends for a long time. If you're looking for a coach and you're looking for someone just to help
Man.
you
Yes.
process and just to walk through life in a more
Yeah.
satisfying way,
Yes.
with the present and move into the future, then I'm
Mm.
here, the Grange, willing to support and help you along that way. So God bless each and every one of you. We will talk to you soon. Tune in again at HGG Radio, 5:30
Uh,
p.m. every Friday,
thank
Mountain
you.
Standard Time. And we have Roshane Douglas is always in the background. That's always helping us out. So shout out to you, Roshane, and shout out to Clive,
Everyone.
one that has
Yes.
started this station, High Ground Church here in Edmonton. So
Mm.
for the vision that he had, and this is the work that he's doing. So we love you, we appreciate you, and those that are tuning in, you can click on the like button and subscribe button, so it'll always show up on your screen here every Friday. So God bless. Thank you again, Marie.
Yeah.